Hello and welcome to this session at TestFlix. My name is Sreekala and we're about to talk about a very interesting topic and a topic that I personally love to talk about as well. Leadership, right? And what form of leadership? Let's figure out. Now, I want to start off by asking you a question. When did you think was the first time that you saw this leader in you open up? What has been the strongest impression of you being a leader? Now, a lot of you will possibly recollect to one of those meetings where you excelled. You will possibly go back to days when you possibly led a team at work and had some deliverables being done. You would possibly go back to those times when you were possibly leading an org strategy and you were actually driving the organization towards doing certain things. But I ask you again, when was the first time that you thought you were a leader? If you retrospect a little, you will realize that we have all been leaders right from the time we are children, right? So whether it was about making rules about lagori, whether it was deciding, what we all, prepare and bring for our cooking without fire or potluck when friends meet, or any small things, or even celebrating on our roads, we have seen that as children, all of us have exhibited these traits of leadership, right? And why is it that that gets subdued when you talk of leadership, right? My humble opinion is that when we talk of leadership, right, since natural leadership is so innate to all of us, what really is a game changer in today's industry is mindful leadership. And that is our topic for today. Normally, when you talk of leadership, you talk of extremely driven outcomes, you talk of big changes, you talk of turnkey projects, you talk of turnkey revenues, you talk of all of that, you talk of number of people increasing, right? And that's great. It's amazing because that's what in the line of business you have to be talking about. But the good news is that the world is opening up to forms of leadership which requires leaders to have that extreme emphasis on being mindful on how they are leading and not just what they are leading. So in my opinion, when you talk of mindful leadership, it consists of three key parameters, which are typically three aspects, which is we talk of mindful leadership circle, the cycle, which typically consists of being extremely self-aware. It talks of being journey focused, and it talks of you being an inspiration. And let's pick up each one of these as to discuss this in a little more detail. Right. So the first aspect of being extremely self-aware. As a leader, how self-aware are you when you lead the people around you? Right? Are you living what you're talking? Are you taking them towards being aware of what are the thoughts in their head? What are their behaviors? Organizations and corporations are spending so much on behavioral studies of their employees, right? But what is a missing gap that typically tends to happen is this aspect of how self-aware are your leaders being groomed into becoming. Yes, we talk of a top brass being extremely self-aware. But when you're talking of managers being created who are eventually going to grow up to become industry leaders, your self-awareness journey has to start from there. What are you self-aware about? You're self-aware about what you're thinking, how you're thinking, why are you thinking the way you are thinking, and then translating that into actions. Which means that when you're a mindful leader, it is not just about being empathetic, but it is about being completely aware of how that entire journey of empathy works for your particular teams, for your particular employees. Let's face it, the more self-aware you are as a leader, the question that you're going to be asking is, what best can I do right now? And when that happens, you're going to be looked up as a go-to person when there is a situation of crisis, when there are critical and tough decisions to be taken, and most importantly, when your employees want to stay loyal to the organization or to the team that you are leading. Therefore, I strongly believe that the first key parameter towards mindful leadership is this aspect of being self-aware. The second aspect of mindful leadership that you saw is about how journey focused are you as a leader. As a leader, it is imperative that outcomes are given the focus. It is imperative that outcomes should drive the way in which the entire business, the vision and the strategy is planned. But in that whole journey of you being extremely outcome focused, are you mindful as a leader? Are you completely aware as a leader on the journey that your employees or your team members are actually taking? Are you aware of hands-on challenges that they are facing? Are you aware of not just the challenges, but how they are feeling when they are handling those challenges? Are you aware of what they are learning along the journey as they deliver that outcome that you are inspiring them to deliver, or you're motivating them to deliver? Ask yourself this as a leader, is that how focused on the journey are you versus how focused are you on the outcome? We are so groomed, we are so tuned towards focusing only towards the outcome. A lot of leaders say, I give you the freedom, do what you want, get me the outcome. That's great as long as it remains as freedom. But the moment that becomes being aloof as a leader, then we have bad bosses problem. Right? So ask yourself this, which is the second aspect, is that how focused are you on the journey as much as you're focused on the outcome as a leader? The moment you become aware of this, you will focus on making that experience better for yourself as well as your team members. People and culture teams, the HR teams, are having exorbitant budgets to make sure that employees feel connected and engaged. Right? But most times it becomes very, very late in the whole story. So when that happens, what is that one thing that can actually make a difference is that you are focusing on the journey of the whole thing versus just the outcome. And that will make sure that your team members look up to you as a mindful leader. Again, you will become the go-to person when they are stuck for directions in that journey. The third aspect of mindful leadership that I'd like to talk about today is the aspect of how much do you inspire people. We have so many motivational talks. We have so many inspiring people in our society who drive us towards being inspired by them. As a leader, you will inspire people to be inspired by you. But as a mindful leader, you will create employees in such a way that they become benchmarks for themselves. They themselves become those inspirational personalities that they feel good about themselves, right? They are bringing out a better version of themselves every time they are under your leadership. And when that happens, what automatically comes is better productivity, better efficiency, better belongingness, and better loyalty to the organization and the team that you are leading. And therefore, being a mindful leader is not just becoming a luxury or a mandatory need these days, but it can become something that will question the very survival of leadership in the industry when we talk about it. With that said, the three key aspects of mindful leadership that we spoke about today. Number one is about being self-aware. Ask yourself, how self-aware are you, irrespective of what level of leadership you have? Number two is about being journey focused. How journey focused are you in this whole aspect? And aspect number three is how inspirational are you as you create your teams? With that said, wish you extremely good journeys as a leader. And of course, remember to be mindful. Thank you.